everyone. And our Sustainability Commission Committee is present here, and I call this meeting to order.
Here.
Thank you.
That's right.
It was not loud enough. It's okay. All right. So, first of all, we have approval. We should go over our minutes.
Yep. Does anyone have any amendments to the minutes?
There was some suggestion, and I don't know whether it was.
I read over it, it looks fine to me.
Yeah.
Andrew was present.
Yeah, I was gonna say that
I
looked
know.
one short.
Okay.
So Robert's rules, you want a motion to accept, a second, and then discussion on the minutes. That's the procedure.
Okay.
No, you don't, you discuss before you accept.
Right, but you motion to accept and second, and then you discuss.
To accept our minutes, you mean? Yeah, so we are still looking at it, that we need to, something to be changed, we have to add Andrew and
And then approve them once we've amended
then,
them.
yeah, once we,
Yeah. But I can't remember Andrew, what's Andrew's last name, Evans?
Andrew Evans.
So he needs to be added to present.
Yep.
He didn't count himself. He was
Yeah.
doing the minutes.
I was the one that was late. Like so Nancy, I got here though.
okay, I know, my name is always
It's R-E-E-T-A.
Reeta. It's a very common mistake. I think I had fixed it last time, but I think that's okay. So we'll just fix these two things, my name and Andrew. We'll add Andrew to there. Done? All right.
If it's okay with y'all, I have this document and I can fix it
Right now?
and then send it back to you.
Yeah,
Everybody
Yep.
okay with that?
yeah,
All right.
that's fine. That would be great, actually.
So I move that we accept the minutes with those two amendments.
Second.
Approved? All right, we approve this.
All in favor?
All please.
Yeah, all in
All
favor?
vote, all in favor, everybody. And as Tony mentioned, one more thing, I want to do that, I think a couple of things probably we forgot last time, to vote, which we have not done actually, we have not formed anything where we needed to vote, but I think we remember it now. If you form any committee or anything, you remember that. If I forget, just remind me, please. Thank you. We have one person missing, so we'll acknowledge that today.
Yeah. Andrew's.
And again, yeah, he's missing.
Have you talked to Mary?
We've reached out to Mary. I haven't heard anything back. So I'm going to reach out one more time and ask if she wants to continue being a member, and if not, if I don't hear anything back, we'll have to move on.
Okay, so now we have a question regarding that. Do we need to add somebody, or we can go with this number?
We will have to add someone in her place,
We have to add one.
and that will be someone picked by council. They'll put the word out that there's a position open, and then council will pick from a group of names.
Okay, so what's your suggestion for seeking somebody? Should we put it in our article that we are looking for one more person to serve on this
I think
commission?
it'll be posted on the city website.
Okay, I just wanted to know the procedure.
Those are open and posted right now.
Okay.
Anyhow.
We still haven't, this committee still has an opening for a landscape architect.
Yeah, okay. All right, so thank you, Tony, and you are going to reach out once more for Mary, and if she doesn't, I don't think I had reached out to her too, but she had not responded. So at this point, I feel that we should start thinking about it, posting it on our website to fill her place. And till then, Nancy has agreed to take notes. We'll find somebody.
And I have a question. Our term goes through December of next year, is that correct? Since we really kind of got started this
Yeah.
fall, but all the others end in December?
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I can clarify that.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that. It goes to December. We started in fall, yeah.
We started in
Yeah,
September, maybe?
yeah, we started in
Yeah.
September, yes.
But I know several of us have a year appointment, and it doesn't make any sense to do this one at an odd time from all the rest of the city commissions and boards and councils.
Okay. So when we are counting our term, we have to go by the,
Just for- so
yeah,
it'll be
just
the end of
according
next
to the December. All right. So let's move forward. So we set up to public comments. Anybody here? No. All right, we'll go directly to our guest speaker, Chad Carson, Friends of the Green Crescent Trails. We are very much looking forward to hear from you.
I brought a handout as well. Don't mind passing that around.
That's always good.
Yes.
Should have sent it ahead of time.
I was telling Tony before our
This is better,
meeting
then we
that
don't have
I
to print
love to see visual, any presentation.
Great. We got some pictures too.
Yeah, pictures and the information, and especially I'm new, so I have to really digest all of these things, so I do need lots of handouts and pictures to look at it.
Because my name is Chad Carson. I'm a local resident, and first of all, I'm really glad that this committee exists. So thank you all for serving and doing this. I was asked to speak about the Green Crescent Trails. I am a founding member of the Friends of the Green Crescent Trail. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. Begun in 2015, I believe, and 2014 was, I'll share some stories with you about how we began. I think that's the best place maybe to start. This is my younger daughter, Allie, and when she was, I believe she was 4 or 5, something like that, and this stroller has been around town a lot. You can tell it was pretty well worn at that point. My older daughter, Serena, also got pushed around in that stroller. And that's actually the start of the Green Crescent Trail for me, was pushing that stroller with my older daughter, Serena, when she was 3, across Issaquena Trail from Dellwood subdivision where I live, and basically taking my life into my own hands, pushing my daughters. And after numerous times of, playing Frogger on the street, I just got frustrated with it and said, I've had enough. And why is this going on? And that was like a lot of us, there were citizens who volunteer that spurs you to take action. And so I started going to a lot of the comprehensive planning committee meetings at that point, volunteering, went to the land use meetings, went to the transportation meetings, and one conversation kept coming up a lot was that we have a beautiful town, we have a lot of great things going on, obviously, a lot of parks, but one of the things we don't have going for us is there's no connectivity between all of our assets. And so that was kind of music to my ears. I said, yes, I agree with that. I live a quarter mile from Abernathy Park, or Ashley Deering Park on Berkeley Drive, and I can't get there without going over big roads. Who's doing anything about that? And the planner at the time said, well, nobody really yet. Nothing's really happening with it, except for there's this idea that some students on campus came up with one time, an architecture class called the Green Crescent Trail. And so I reached out to the professor who was working on that. He showed me a video the students had made, and I said, this is an idea whose time has come. And so I just started talking to other people about it, and so that began a group of local people,
Who's
including
the
me.
professor?
Dan Harding. Dan Harding had I think it was a cross-curriculum class about working in the community and improving it. And so it was really neat to see the idea, but as a lot of ideas on campus, when the students graduate, they go with them. And so this one leapt across to the town, and we had a group of local citizens who started working on it. And back in 2014, we started getting official with it by having some meetings and getting feedback from the community. We had students help us do that too. We had big maps on tables and put stickers on maps. Where should this, if we did a network of trails, where would it go? How would it work? That turned into a feasibility study, which fast forward 9 years, which is hard to believe that my daughters are now 13 and 11 instead of little girls in the strollers. And we had a couple ribbon cuttings this last year. And so I think that's worth celebrating. First of all, we have one in Clemson, and I'll show you some maps so you can see there too where those were. Another one in Central at the top. And so things have happened. It's taken a while. I've learned how city governments work and county governments and funding budgets, but the good news has been there's some progress has happened. And I think, personally, as Dabo over on campus says, the best is yet to come. I think there's a lot of momentum now and a lot of potential for doing something really, really awesome. These are a couple pictures of the Phase 1 trail in Clemson that I'll show you more of. Those are my daughters riding bikes on that. But what is the Green Crescent Trail? It's similar to the Swamp Rabbit Trail, to the Doodle Trail, some other ones in the upstate, but it's different as well. The vision our nonprofit has is that Clemson could be a national model for alternative transportation. And that's a really big vision, because we're not that right now, and we're making a little bit of progress. But having connectivity and alternative transportation, which is very much in the bullseye of sustainability, is our mission. And that's the vision, is can we connect our town with that idea. And I think the key vocabulary word that we try to linger on is connections. The Swamp Rabbit Trail, as an example, in Greenville had 17 miles, I believe it was. In the beginning, was a railroad that they were able to take over an old rail bed. We don't have that. We don't have that. So really what this is a series of small connections, sometimes a quarter of a mile, sometimes a mile and a half, and we're just having to piece it together like a big puzzle. But I want to share some of the vision of what this could be and why it's really compelling, and then maybe we could talk about how we can help continue to implement it as well. Oops, go back there. So the map you have in front of you, you're welcome we could ask questions about any of the specifics if you want to. I'm going to kind of give a higher level, but this is the big vision is, can we connect the town of Clemson, Clemson University, the town of Central, Southern Wesleyan University, the town of Pendleton, Tri-County Technical College. Those are like the big picture connections. And we're going to have to make a bunch of small ones in between. But that's what you see there is our nonprofit's best attempt this year to have an implementation map. We could have about a bunch of lines on that map in addition to this that are potential, but these are the ones we think we might have a chance in the next 5 to 10 years implementing, the ones you have on the map. This number changes depending on which trails we include, but potentially we could have 25 to 30 miles of trails that would be included in this network called the Green Crescent Trail. What are connections? This is another vocabulary lesson. A trail is one word, but it means sidewalks. It could mean protected bike lanes. It could mean multi-use paths, which are the bigger 10 to 12 foot wide paths. It could also mean natural surface trails. We're working on one in Pendleton right now. There's lower budget amounts of money. There's also, there's some woods and some private easements that people might give us with the historic foundation in Pendleton. It might be best used to be a natural surface trail in that case. Many other times though, to have more volume, almost like a highway of walking and biking, you might need more hard surface for maintenance and for just ease of use. But there's a lot of different uses this network could be. Mainly hard surface trails, but also we'd like to include parks and public spaces too, because one of the most important things we're trying to connect are the green spaces and public spaces in the community. And also mention public transit, because I think y'all might have heard from Cat Bus as well. To me, this goes hand in hand with Cat Bus. They're both complementary type of developments. But the most important thing from our perspective is that we want the connections to be safe and usable for people. Not people in cars. Cars, that's great too, but this is for people on their feet, people pushing a stroller, people walking their dog, people on wheels, but it's for a human level transportation connections. That's really what this is about. This is my quote. This is what I believe, and this is the reason I'm here volunteering, and I've been volunteering on this for 9 years. I honestly think this is the most important local project of our generation. I think this has the potential to be one of those transformative projects that my kids will be wondering, like, wow, who worked on this? How did they have the vision to do this? I think it can be that important, and I'll share a few reasons why I think that's the case. Trails, as I've learned, I knew nothing about any of these kind of developments, just been learning as I go. It's sort of at the intersection of transportation and recreation. Some trails are more recreation, some trails are more transportation, but I think the big vision is it can serve both of those. It could be a place for people to walk and recreate, but we have the potential also for people to use it as transportation. And given this sustainability lens, if you just argue for sustainability, this could be a pretty compelling project. if you can get people using cars less. I'm not, so I don't call it optimistic or naive, whatever you want to call it, that everybody's going to always ride bikes or walk. I don't think that's going to happen. I happen to walk and ride my bike a lot, but if somebody takes 10 trips a day, we could take 2 or 3 trips a day out of their cars. That would be very successful, especially students, especially people going to campus, but also people maybe going to the grocery store, also people going to the park. My walk to the park with my kid and a daughter, my daughter in a stroller, there's no reason you should have to get in a car to go do that. So part of this sustainability is getting people using cars less. The other part is really compelling, is building a network of transportation that smart development can be built upon. So if you have this infrastructure in place, then the land use can also be tied in with that to build more sustainable development. So I think that's another reason this is kind of the bullseye of sustainability. But if that might be enough compelling reason to be excited about it, but some of the other things I've listed on this are things like public health. We have an obesity epidemic, and it's a complex problem that I'm not an expert on, but I know part of that is activity. People not being able to move and do it inexpensively, do it conveniently. But if you can walk from your house and get exercise for 15 minutes because it's safe to do that, that's a big help with public health, mental health, physical health. Traffic mitigation is, whenever you interview people in Clemson, traffic's always at the top of it, ironically, because I grew up in Atlanta where we actually have traffic. But I don't think this is a panacea for traffic, but if you can have alternatives to people being able to get in a car, and you can encourage or even make it more difficult in some cases to take your car to campus, but you can ride your bike easily or get on a scooter, it could help. It could help with that. Quality of life is one of those intangible things, but if you look at Travelers Rest, if you look at Greenville, some of the places these kind of infrastructures have been built, you can see people thriving. You can see people enjoying themselves. I personally love the idea of the social fabric of trails, how you have this physical representation of connecting with your neighbors. Instead of pulling into a driveway, into your garage and never seeing your neighbor, you're out walking and you bump into your neighbor and you have a conversation. And those little social connections you have with people, even if they're not your best friend, it really make your community, make it special. So I think that's another benefit. Equity and having people who don't have cars or can't afford cars, it's expensive to drive your car. And so it's, as we know, the transportation infrastructure hasn't always taken people who can't afford to drive into account. Getting to your work, getting to the doctor, getting to the grocery store. I'm going to talk about Issaquah Trail in a moment. I see people every day when I drive to the rec center sitting in the ditch waiting for the bus. I think that's a shame. I'm ashamed to see that. And so I think that's people who don't have a car and have to use public transit will be able to use this system as well. And they'll be able to tie it in with the cat bus. There's the last mile. You get dropped at the bus stop. That's not the last part of your trip. You have to walk to your apartment, and this could help with that. And then finally, and some people would say this is enough as well, economic development is a big part of trail systems. I've kind of compared it to like pouring Miracle-Gro in a downtown. If you look at Travelers Rest, the before and after pictures, and if you look at the hospitality budget of Travelers Rest before and after, we've talked to their mayor at one point. It was, I think the numbers were like $200,000 or $300,000 before the Swamp Rabbit Trail per year, hospitality tax, $800,000 to $1 billion after. So it's just an enormous difference when you have public infrastructure that people use and think is fun, and they can ride their bike or they can walk, and they eat some ice cream while they're there, they drink a beer. So a lot of the small businesses and the vitality of the community are also helped. So that's why I'm excited about it. It's one of those projects that has multiple impacts on the community, including sustainability. So I just want to go through a kind of high level, a few existing Clemson projects, city projects. There's other projects in Pendleton and Central, which I'm happy to talk about too. The one that's been implemented already, we need to get a better name, but we call it Phase 1, connects Clemson Elementary, Clemson Park, Gateway Park, and then it hops onto the campus, Clemson University campus of the South Carolina Botanical Garden, and then the main campus. And it's about 3 miles, just a little bit over 3 miles of total off-road connection. Actually, some of it's on-road, but about 3 miles. That was, and so has anybody been on that one before? Walked on it? I know some of you have. But it's there. You can go park. You can park at Clemson Park is a great place to get on. Clemson Elementary is another place if during off hours you can park there. Botanical Gardens, you can park there and get on it as well. And then that's a way to check it out. This is a rendering whenever the part of the trail that was at Clemson Park. It's just one of the architectural renderings before it was built. This was the ribbon cutting that we had at Gateway Park. And I just want to mention that this was a true town-gown kind of partnership. I was proud of that. When I first started working on this project and trying to talk to the university planning and the city planning, it was kind of one of those things that we talked about it, but it wasn't. It wasn't really a good partnership. I couldn't get the university to share information. They said that's the town's thing, and it was really appalling. But in the end, this has been a really great cooperative project. I think this is another one of those projects that could be a way for town-gown to work even better together. Here's a couple pictures of phase one. So let's talk about a couple more projects that are coming soon that are in the hopper, and they are either funded or mostly funded. And this is one of the two is Berkeley Drive, the south corridor of Berkeley Drive. And so maps are hard to read sometimes, especially when they're this small, but at the top of this map is the end of phase one that I just talked about. So the connection from Clemson Elementary, if you looked at the very top of this map, Clemson Elementary is there. So this would basically be from Frontage Road down to Issaquena Trail on Berkeley Drive. Let me show you at least the idea. My information is coming from Nathan Hinkle, who's our city engineer, who's kind of shared some of the kind of future plans about this. But the original feasibility study, this picture came from there. The idea is that there's enough space in the easement on Berkeley Drive, which by the way is a state road. It's a state DOT road, not a local road. But there's enough space to build a green strip plus a 10-foot wide path on the left side. Well, if you're looking at it this way, the left side of Berkeley Drive. So that would be that's the plans currently. This would be the next trail would be to start at Frontage Road, connect to the existing phase, and then go all the way down to Toddy's Place, Ashley Deering Park, and Issaquena Trail. The other one that is in the hopper, and we're working on getting some private easements that I'll tell you the story about. But the next one will be connecting to the end of that one I just showed you at Toddy's Place and going all the way to Nettles Park. So if both of these get implemented, which I think there's a good chance they will, then you'd be able to have Nettles Park be another trailhead, and then you could go to Toddy's Place. And then also you can see there Berkeley Orchard. It's kind of a neat story, and one that I was involved in a little bit too. It was a property that was for sale for a long time, and I kept calling it and said, "Oh, I wonder what's going on with that." And I asked them actually if they would be willing to donate part of that property to the Friends of the Green Crescent so we could build a trail there. And the property was on the market for about $350,000, and they didn't really want to do that. But they did end up, after that, they were connected them with the city, and they agreed to sell the property to the city. And the city got Tony, I think you know the details of this one. It was a South Carolina Conservation Bank grant for 50% of the purchase price. And so the city owns that property. It's in a floodplain. There's a house there, but it's going to be a conservation property. And the idea is to have the trail be along that property, and then it would continue on. You'd have to cross Issaquena Trail at some point, but there's a property at 418 Issaquena Trail, which I happen to buy as a rental property. I'm in the rental property business. I bought that property as a rental property, but also because I'd like to give an easement to the city to help make this connection. And so that's part of this plan as well. We have to get a private easement from me and 3 other landowners who we're in conversations with now. And we got one more we need to finalize that with, but so far verbally it's had good progress on that. So there's a lot more details I can share with you on that one. But the neat thing about both those projects is we would add on to what we've already done with the city and have that 3-mile trail, add on another, I think it's another couple miles, and connect Berkeley, all these parks. And also what I think is really neat from a sustainability standpoint, Berkeley Orchard plus my property that I own there and these other private owners who would give easements. These are some of the best green spaces right in the middle of residential areas in the city, which theoretically could be developed in some cases. Some of them are on sewer easements and can't be developed. But there are places that if properties get expensive enough, people will build houses on stilts and do different, it could be houses. But because the city bought that property, because the city could secure some easements and green spaces, it could be a green kind of corridor in the middle of a lot of places that could be developed. And it could be used for recreation and for connection.
What's the time frame on these two phases?
I think the money is available. There's a lot of money in the budget that's been saved over the last few years to build the Berkeley Drive one. That's my understanding. And then this other one, it's going to depend on when we get the easements. We're talking to the landowners at the moment. If they wanted to sign an easement tomorrow, then the city would have an easement, and then they could probably start. The next step is to do a formal design of it, which they have to put out to bid with firms to do the design, and then that might take 3 or 4 months, and then even if the money's in the budget, it would probably be into next year before construction documents would be ready, I would guess, just kind of optimistically. I'm always over optimistic on the time frames though, so maybe that'll be longer. This is a picture just to give you an idea. And if any of you want to walk this property, I'd be happy to take you out there sometime and just walk where some of these sewer easements are. This is down by along 18 Mile Creek is where the sewer easement is. And there's just beautiful tall oak trees and other poplars, and Tony will be able to tell me what the species actually are. But it's one of the neatest places to walk in the city. And you can't believe you're right there near Nettles Park and near Issaquena. It's got some elevation gains. You can't even hear the cars or anything. So it would be a gem of a place to have a trail.
What is that water? Is that rainwater or just?
It's at 18 Mile Creek.
Okay, yeah, that's.
So by the way, this is a floodway, so the trail will be in a floodway. So it'll be underwater whenever. So part of that engineering of it, building it with good foundation, cement instead of asphalt. So there's a lot of considerations that Nathan and other engineers have had to think about. But a lot of parks and a lot of greenways are in floodways. That's part of the nature of what they are. Future wish list for Clemson, since you will be working on talking to the city council and hopefully we can do this together. But here's some other ideas that are on the map, but I'm just listing them out kind of for you to talk about. Building a side path along Highway 93, or a better bike lane, an actual bike lane that's protected, is one that I would love to see, and it's been on our list to work on. There's an outside chance, this is me just talking to city staff about what's going on. There's an outside chance that in the federal budget for 2024, there's an appropriation to build that one. I don't know how likely that is. I don't want to even,
Which one, the 93 or the Issaquena?
Highway 93 path. It's been on the long-term planning of what used to be GPATS, the Greenville-Pickens Area Transportation Study. We're now in the Anderson area study, but it's been on the long-term planning. We've requested that, and our city staff have requested for a long time. I was pleasantly surprised to hear that was even a possibility, but it would be a multi-million-dollar project to basically restripe part of Highway 93 and build a new curb to have a protected lane on one side of Highway 93 all the way from campus to, I'm not sure exactly where it would end, but in the future all the way to Central. So being able to be in downtown Central, get on and off the cat bus if you want to, walk, take a bike, take a scooter, it would be a really transformative type improvement, especially if we also improve the road. This is my personal opinion. If we can make that road slower, not necessarily, I know that's a main corridor that people are going to go to football games on, but it's too fast for the kind of community we want to have on either side of that road. So having it slowed down and pedestrian bike friendly would be a huge improvement.
That bike lane is not.
It's not a bike lane.
Not a bike lane.
It gets about 2 feet in some places.
We ride it a good bit. In fact, one of my friends was hit 2 Sundays ago on that bike lane. So
there's also a lot of glass in the bike lane, and I mean it gets cleaned here and there, but it's a state road, so the city has to, I guess, ask permission to do that, and I don't know how all that works, but yeah.
if they redo the road, are they obligated to correct that bike lane size?
I don't know. I would hope so. I'm going to be at every meeting, pestering somebody, and we've learned how some of the state roads, they just get sprung upon you, like Issaquena, when they paved that last year. I know Enos was involved in trying to get us something.
We got sidewalk,
Yeah, we got a sidewalk for about 10 feet. It throws a bone.
which I use all the
It
time.
throws a bone, but
Yeah.
you have to get way ahead of any state projects, any county projects. That's just the nature of it. But I think it's something the city staff does really well. If it was just a group of ragtag volunteers, a lot of this wouldn't happen because city staffs go into all these meetings, there's just meetings, and making sure, and this is why I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. The request is the more you know about this, and if you also think this is really important and transformative, when you make recommendations to council, they listen. The recommendations that come from you carry weight, and if they hear from you that this is important for sustainability, if economic development people say, hey, this is important for that, if they have a lot of citizens talk about it, then council knows it's a priority for our citizens. So I think that matters, that is important to do that. So Highway 93 is an exciting one. Don't know exactly if that will happen, but that's potential. Issaquena Trail I mentioned that earlier, having a side path there. There's a lot of apartments, people who live there who don't have cars. A lot of international students live there. And so it's having as I understand it, there's enough room in the road easement on the side of the road to build it. So it's not a matter of getting easements from private property owners or anything. It's a matter of just the money to do
Isn't it also in the state plan on one side for like down the road? That was my understanding.
It's in the plan, but I remember when J.C. Cook was mayor, talking to him about this, we were in the same meetings with Woodruff Road and Greenville and all these others, and we would always just get moved down the list. And so that'll perpetually happen. I think the only way to make it happen is we raise the money ourselves or get a grant and then go to the state and say, we the city will build it. And they'll let you do that, they just don't want to pay for it. So it's not a matter of getting the permission to do it, they'd be happy to let it do it, but does the DOT have enough money to do it? They don't have enough money to pave the roads that we have. So getting them to build extra stuff is a tough ask, I think.
I bike that stretch all the time on Issaquena Road, and I always want to go through the parking lots and just have the different apartment complexes have a trail from parking lot to parking lot, a bike trail, not a road.
Yeah.
And that would take it off-road. Now it would be in the private property, the parking lots. But it seems like that'd be way cheaper. And when I try to do that, you probably know how that is. It's not so practical.
I mean, all these things, what we learn from our personal experience and what we need and what we can do. I live in a Calhoun Forest neighborhood, and I always feel that that stretch of 1.2 miles from my entrance to the traffic light, in between we have lake, and that part, if there was any sidewalk, I mean, I would always like to walk to the park or to campus, anywhere. But that's one of the biggest things since I had moved many years ago. I always felt that was so badly required to have sidewalk on that bridge, actually. Yeah. So there are lots of international students who live in that neighborhood, actually, close to close to the traffic light or underneath the railroad. And when this park, 12 Mile Beach, was not restricted, they all used to walk on that road, which I would see them and my heart would just, come out that they're going to hit by somebody, and that's very bad. People are a very bad frequency on that stretch. Mm-hmm. So those are one of the things, and I always felt that how can we really, so your point is well taken that, it should be more, Clemson should be more, have more sidewalks, so it's more, pedestrian-friendly areas and pedestrian-friendly roads should be there so people can walk everywhere, and that's definitely reduce our transportation and the cars, which I just faced right now coming here, that it took me 3 hours from 133 to take left turn on 123. It was so bad. Traffic was so bad. So that was definitely one of those things, is needed very badly.
There's so many studies proving how walkability is such a plus across the board.
Across the board.
For a city. I mean,
Every city, yeah.
it improves so many different things because people are there and they see it and then they're like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if there was a tree here? No, wouldn't there be nice if there was a little store here so we could stop, and then somebody puts one in, and it just goes from there.
I have a question about 12 Mile Park. I see this, you have a trail that goes out to there, right? Are you charging, or is the city charging people to walk dogs through there?
This question came up here recently, and yes, the answer from admin is yes. If you have a group of people and you're walking your dogs, if somebody just pays $5 and treat it like you're going in there in a car, because basically you were just charging for a car, and you can have a carload of people, but that park has to have revenue so that we can maintain it. All 100% of the money that we get through that gate goes to pay the one person that we have out there that maintains that park. So if the city says, no, you don't have to pay, then what we'll have is folks parking across the street at the dentist office and walking across, parking at different places and walking.
Well, this is a resident who lives near there that told me that, and that's
Yes.
a discouraging thing.
Yeah, we had
Well, my
some
beach.
communication
Yeah, I know.
with her, and I'm aware of her traditional usage. That park has always been a paid park, even when the Corps had it. It has always been a paid park. It was an honor system. You would put your money in the box, but all of the Corps parks are that way. The way we have it set up now is just you have to pay when you go in with a car. But the answer is yes.
But isn't there a membership now for a yearly
You
membership?
can do an annual membership if you pay, I think it's
$40.
$40, you know, and you go there 8 times. I mean, that pays for 8 trips. If you go more than that, then you're way ahead of the game.
Yeah, I live right across from it, and it used to be so convenient that I used to go for my walk and enjoy just sitting there, you know, near the lake. But now I have to plan that way.
Anyway, let's keep going.
All right.
I'm going to just list
Okay.
these, and if you have questions specifically. Pendleton Road is another one that's on the map you see there, having a side path between Clemson and Pendleton. There is a sidewalk there that's kind of substandard and could be improved. Nettles Park to the Grange is one that has been kind of back and forth, is one that could be, it was up higher on the list, it's moved down a little bit just with some of the things that have been going on, negotiations between cities, things like that. But it's one that could eventually be, the trail we're talking about building to Nettles Park could continue on to the Grange, the new development there. So it'd be really a neat, long corridor, true greenway where you get out there and park and you can be out in nature. So that's a neat one. And then Nettles Park, I just mentioned that. Stone Church Road is another one that is connected to, I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a development that Packlet Milliken has had on the docket for years to develop. And there's a master plan community that has the Green Crescent Trail as part of their infrastructure. So when that happens, I'm not sure what stage it's at. That is part of that's on 18 Mile Creek as well. So the trail I showed you along 18 Mile Creek, if we could find a way to get back to that property, which we have some plans there on the map, you can imagine parking at Nettles Park, running or walking or riding your bike from Nettles Park all the way to campus eventually along Old Stone Church Road. So that's kind of a neat idea. And then downtown corridor. Downtown's not last but not least, but having better bike lanes, wider sidewalks, better crosswalks, making downtown more pedestrian friendly, and uptown as well is long been on the plans, I think. But having that be part of the network would be a really transformative thing as well. This is my pitch. How can you help? We need continued city support, prioritization, funding. The City of Clemson's been awesome. I mean, they have, it's in the budget that I think every year $200,000 is allocated to the Green Crescent Trail by the city in their general budget. It's part of their overall budget. The city staff has been really supportive. So and city council has been supportive. So it's more an idea of continuing the idea that this is important to support, maybe increasing support. And if you can help with that through your work here on the sustainability committee, that would be appreciated by the people who want the Green Crescent Trail and think it's important. And I would also offer that your expertise and feedback would be helpful if you have ideas, if you have suggestions, if you have ways that we can improve. I do a lot of talk on this, but this is a job of love. So this is something, it's a passion project. And so we're volunteers, we're trying to make this happen, but we need help and we need support. So anything you can do there would be helpful. This is our online presence, Facebook and Instagram. We have channels there, and then we have an email list as well if you want to stay in touch with us on any or all of those. Those are great ways to do it.
And a membership, and you can pay annually, and you can donate as much as you want. A great number of the grants and the sidewalks you see were bought with a grant that had to be matched funded, right? And the best way to get matching fund is I take money out of my wallet and give it to the Green Crescent Trail. There are other ways to get matching funds, but that's the best way. So if you believe in it, look that up and push the donate button and put in $1,000.
Eunice is always she reminds me to ask for that, so thank you, Eunice. And I will say this is a 100% volunteer nonprofit. We don't have any staff at this point. And the big work that we do, we're not building the trail. So we have to partner with the city to do this and maintain the trail. We're working a lot on organizing volunteers so that as we have trails, Tony has a system in the city where volunteers and community members can volunteer to have work days, or almost, I don't know if you call it adopt a park or adopt a segment. And we have some ideas on having ambassadors basically for the trail, for people who already use it a lot and live there. Could they be the eyes and ears for the city and have a list of things that Tony's okay with them doing, work days, things like that. I think there's a real desire by people to do that. And we want to help organize that. And then we do a lot of advocacy work like this, talking to people, partnering with the city on grants. We do a lot of marketing in terms of just vision. So we're working with a local landscape architect to take some of the map. He made the map for us this year. We worked on that. This is an update of some of our prior maps, but we're going to do photo simulations and sectional maps of each small section so that the public can just understand what this is and what the potential is. That's one of the challenges we have is, what is the Green Crescent Trail? Where is the thing? Is it connected? So we can do a better job of telling the story of it. So some of the money that we raise goes to paying contractors like that to help us make visuals and maps and communication type stuff about the trail.
How many people are with you on this project, like volunteers working?
Our board has 11, max 15 people. I think we have 11 or 12 right now on the board. But then we have a volunteer supporter group of several hundred people on our email list. When when Green Crescent Trail comes up at a city council meeting, there's typically lots of people who show up. I mean, this has been in the community, and this has been a conversation for a long time. And there's a lot of people who support the idea of safer biking, whether you're walking your dog or pushing your stroller. This is a pretty wide net of people who think this is important, and which is interesting. There's not every project that a wide group of people from different thoughts of, political thoughts and whatever who support a project. And this is one of those. It's a pretty broad spectrum of people who think it's a good idea. That's what I found.
So if somebody wanted to walk part of it, is it marked? Do you have maps? I mean, how would I go about doing that?
Clemson Park would be the best place to start.
Okay.
It's the easiest.
It is well marked, and it says Green Crescent Trail, and you'll find it.
We've got kiosks, and as we speak, the city public works folks we paid for some paint to paint logos on all the trails as well. So some of it's been done, but there'll be Green Crescent logos along the trails where it is. And also, there's one piece that's on Ripple View and Brooks Drive between. What's the name of the park? Gateway Park. Thank you. Gateway Park and Clemson Park. So there's one portion that's on a low volume road, and that might be where where's the trail, but we're going to have that marked on the road as well. So that between Clemson Park and Gateway Park is a great route to go. Also going from Clemson Park to Clemson Elementary is a nice, shorter route to go. And then you could also, if you want to go venture farther, we've had events where we walk from Clemson Park to Clemson's campus and go get ice cream and then come back. And that's a nice walk as well.
And there's sharrows on the Brook Street on those roads are pretty defined.
So I'm happy to answer any other questions if I can, and just appreciate your support.
Yeah, you offered that, if anybody wants to take a tour of that.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know if you get on the email list, and well, what's the best way to contact us? I can give my phone number, email address, if that's easiest. That'd be fine. Just my name is Chad Carson, so Chad Carson1 and this is the number 1 at gmail.com. I'm walking all the time, so it's easy for me to just walk and talk. That'd be happy to do it.
I think you can assume that all of us are in favor of sustainability and the trail, and I'm wondering if it might be, I mean, you know where I live, but maybe for example, to know Rita is in Calhoun Forest, I'm thinking it might be useful to have a sustainable lover in each neighborhood that y'all could reach out to and say,
Yeah.
and at least in my neighborhood, we're in Camelot, where a lot of people walk, from the neighborhood to Patrick Square, and I'd like a sidewalk in there, also the walk to school effort there. And I want to talk to the neighborhood about paying, the neighbors paying for sidewalk. And I'm just wondering if that could be another thing the Green Crescent Trail does, is some kind of partnership. So this part of town wants it and will put in some of this money, and the city will put in some money, and the Green Crescent Trail can help with finding grants or something, and a method to do that. So
This whole thing happens when local people say, this is what I want, I'm tired of it.
Right, right. So we need more people like that.
Absolutely.
As I said, that I would love to have, somebody I don't even know who to approach to. They can make a sidewalk on that bridge, so I can walk on campus. I can walk to the campus. It's a really nice walk, actually.
Well, and there's so many apartments there, and people are walking, even though it's not safe. I mean, I started doing this in 2002, right? When I walked my kids to Clemson Elementary School over that bridge on Berkeley, which had no shoulder, right? And the principal said, do not do that. And I said, you think I'm gonna drive? Absolutely not. Well, you can't go with your 5-year-old. And I said, well, you don't expect me to drive my 5-year-old. It's closer to walk, right? And what happened 10, 15 years later, we had a bridge, right? Because we got 700 people to walk with us, right?
Pioneered that effort, absolutely. Yes.
And shut the bridge down because we had so many pedestrians. So so action by individuals works. And that's why it says Green Crescent Trail there, right? Because they came in and did some stuff after I put up my stink about it.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Clemson One development over near Calhoun, doesn't it have a built-in sidewalk and trail as part of it?
Yeah, and I haven't been there myself, but that's my understanding is they put, there's been some really good efforts in the city to have, if a development happens along a trail network, it's on my map that I'm sharing with you here is a little different than the city's map. City has a more comprehensive map of trail potential places, and if the development's built on one of those trails though, I think the rules, they have to build it now. So I think the one you're talking about, Clemson One, over near Calhoun Forest, they built a side path, and then they connected into old Central Road so that people can get to the cat bus that way. So yeah, I think that's the future. This is going to be a patchwork of different implementations. Some of it's going to be the city raising the money and doing it. Some of it's going to be grants. But some of it's going to be the local developers building it as an amenity. And so the city's been forward thinking in that to make sure that's part of their code. And developers want to have amenities. So this isn't like, throw me in the briar patch. This is something that they want to have. But if the city can say, this is what we need, and this is why we need it, or if they happen to not be, you can't implement it yet, I think there's a fund that you can put it in some cases where if you don't build it, you give the money to the city, then the city will use that for trails. So that's been a really helpful thing that development's happened, and that'll help.
The other city trail initiative was along the 18 mile from Nettles Park to the Grange that you were talking about.
Right.
And some of that conversation was pretty interesting as it goes to the floodplain and how that's developed, because there's a wetland. So just having an environmental expert on those those sections of trail is really key to doing this in a low impact way. So that'll be an interesting section of trail.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a couple of other developments that could possibly happen beside the Grange. That
Right.
could tie all those together.
Yeah, I know this is all new, but Central's annexed a piece of that. I don't know what part of the process is in, but I believe they're gonna annex on the other side of the Grange, and that's gonna be a development, and ANMed is gonna have a medical center there as well, all the way to Old Central Road. So the potential is to have a connection from Clemson to Central that way, too, along 18 Mile Creek.
That'd be awesome.
And maybe connect up into
Yeah, that would be
downtown
great.
by Walmart into downtown Central. It's a big vision, but it's been amazing. There's little pieces of things that are happening.
Is your top thing right now that you want us to advocate for, your main number one thing?
The two that are in the docket, the Berkeley Drive and I feel like some of the mistakes we've made is getting too big and grandiose and not just saying, here's what we can do, let's do it. So until those have crossed the finish line, I say, I've been told that they're ready to go, but until we break ground on them and build them, that money can be allocated somewhere else maybe. So I think just anything, if you say something like we were presented with the projects that could potentially be built this year on Berkeley Drive and Nettles Park to Ashley Deering, and we are fully in support of that. That is in line with what we with our sustainability efforts. That if you believe that would be very helpful. And down the line, we're going to have other projects that we'll need support on too.
What about the Mountain View Park? Is that not a plan?
It would be nice. I think it's one of those 20. If that's a 5 to 10 year plan, it's one of those that yes, it would be awesome to get Mountain View Park connected.
It has the exercise trail. Does it still have that exercise trail?
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 One thing we found is we start adding all the list of all the places we could build sidewalks, including 133 going up there. They all should happen. Every one
Yeah,
of
so
them.
if there was sidewalk on 133, I mean, it would be so easy for all the people in the neighborhood who go to the mountain.
But one of the challenges is like which neighborhood do you build in. So I think one of this is a debate we should all talk about. Where should we build it? Because maybe the whole thing doesn't get built. Maybe we only get a couple of years in and that's all we build. And so being thoughtful about where we build it, how we build it, who benefits from what we build. And that's why I go back to like the recreation versus transportation aspect of it. If it can do both, if it can be a place where people can actually use it for transportation and it can be recreation, that's a sweet spot. If Mountain View is great, but what would be the volume of traffic that would go there? It'd be great, but it'd be a little bit less than a place that a lot of people would potentially use it. So it's one of those, I think if we get momentum and we start building this, people are gonna love it, and then we're gonna get more support for it. There'll be a snowball effect at some point, but one of the wicked problems is deciding which ones are warranted to put our efforts in first, and it's not easy to figure out which ones to do. But the logic for now has been our parks are really important places to connect because those are public spaces that anybody can access. So if you connect Nettles Park, which anybody can go to Ashley Deering Park, to the Berkeley Meadows, to the elementary school, to Clemson Park, those are public spaces. And that's an important thing to connect our public spaces. And if that works, then let's connect it all. I'm in favor of that. But it's the limitations of budget and on the ground is real. So that's been part of the
Chad, I have one more question. That how do you do anything to promote or publicize your project and just about all this park project which you are doing? What do you do? I mean, how do you use any of besides social media, like any other thing?
We get some good
Connection.
articles, a lot of.
Community connection. Do you ever put?
And we've written a community connection here and there. We also, in our best, we're going to try to get back into it. We have several writers on our board. Heidi Williams is one of our board members, and she's in the communications department at the university. I do a lot of writing and blogging. So we're all volunteers, but yes, we write articles, we do social media posts. I've got some ideas, maybe y'all can help me out with this, to do little just short videos showing what it's like to walk around town and bike around town, both the deficient places and also the good ones, saying, hey, here's what it's like to bike on Highway 93 in this lane and show how close the cars are to almost hitting you. And I think sometimes people visualize what it's like. It's hard to describe that, but you can see a YouTube video or a TikTok video or an Instagram video. So we've got some ideas and some plans on
Yeah,
that.
but I think it's still sometimes, a very old-fashioned way to just put brochures or flyers somewhere
Right,
in the city, probably would be a
that'd be a good idea. We need
very
to,
good idea to,
Yeah.
Well, how many kiosks do you have?
there's 7 kiosks.
There's 7 kiosks installed around central Clemson, and it has the map, it's an older map, but people stop at them and are like, oh, there's a Green Crescent Trail, right? And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, one of the ideas with this map is to make a brochure we can hand out and put it at the local bike shop, put it at local restaurants. So, point well taken, and I think that's our nonprofit, one of the best things we can do is tell stories and communicate about it. So we're making more efforts to do a better job of that.
Well, and I think you can probably make Pendleton Road green, because it has a trail. Granted, it's a crummy trail.
I know.
Maybe not until you've done the Berkeley Road Trail, but then you've got a loop there.
You got a connection, yeah.
And it is an off-road bike trail.
Yeah.
I mean, I know bikers don't use it.
Too many potholes in it. Any other questions? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Happy to stay connected if you have any other questions.
There's a member of ours that wanted very much to come, Andrew, and he'll connect with you too.
Happy to do
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
And I would love to, as you said, take your offer on,
Send me an email. Would love to connect.
yeah, I would give you my phone number. I'm best with text message and things.
Yeah, email's great. I can.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chad?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was a nice
Yes.
meeting.
Did you stop sharing the stream?
I did. I switched it back to council session.
Thank you, sir.
Let's get on. Yeah, it was a nice informative thing. I mean, so many places in Clemson we live, and we are not all familiar with all these areas. At least I'm not, So it's good to know. All right, we have next thing is we have only 30 minutes left. Let's go on action item. Formation of subcommittees, which is on our mind very strongly. We have been talking about it, but we have not been able to really jot it down. We did it last meeting, but I would like to hear from you guys how we are going to form the subcommittees. Have you thought of what are the names of the committees and how you can divide your responsibilities towards it? And as Tony had suggested, in an easy email, that how we can form the subcommittees and who can be serving on those committees. Obviously, we cannot have anybody from outside, so we have to spread ourselves among our committee members to take the responsibility of as a champions committee champion, or so keeping it in mind, just go ahead, give your suggestions. Another suggestion before we start anything, I would suggest, since we are very few people here and we have to work among ourselves, we can further consolidate in our subcommittees and make our goals, combine our goals within our subcommittees. So we'll have few subcommittees so more people can serve on each committee.
We're not a big group.
You're not, no, we are not.
Yeah.
And we can prioritize our goals. So this way it will be like, okay, we can have 3 committees and we can prioritize our goals and then work on our goals, sub-goals, that sort of thing. Make sense? So let's try to do that.
Yeah, just,
So let's go over the goals, actually, again.
yeah.
In the minutes, Andrew suggested, or in last discussion, he said some of the 4 goals, there's overlap.
There's always.
And so,
Yeah.
when I came, I said maybe it would be the urban and land development is one focus. And but then does the to me, does the waste management fall into that, or can the wording be changed somehow? If you look in the minutes, how Andrew put things together, he called it ecological preservation and circular economy development, but maybe it's just ecological preservation. I say maybe because I'm not prepared to say this is the right wording.
In our goal from the last time, I think we had this preserving our natural resources. Do I have the same paper that you guys had?
I just have the minutes from last time.
Okay, I have the actual goals, goals which we had jotted down. This one, it seems like it requires a lot of, to me, from the city, their resources, their codes, and lots of requirements from the city. So we cannot just work on this alone, that this is what we want to do. We want to do, create this habitat, create strengthen tree protection ordinance, those kind of things, ordinances and rules and regulations we just cannot do on our own. We know what we want, but
Well, really, we're we can't do any of those things.
Yeah,
We're an
you're right.
advisory committee. We can advocate to city council.
yeah.
We can't do those things.
Yeah, so this is, I think it has been discussed, so definitely we cannot do any of those things without council's approval. However, we will keep working on it. As I said, we need to prioritize our goals to make it like in a smaller subcommittees, and so how do we do that? So we have to, and then we have to put the priorities to that, what we can do right now. Which goal we want is going to be like very basic thing. We are starting new. What is new?
What,
Essential right now.
Yeah, I mean, if it was under this, I agree that we're advisory to the council, so
Yeah.
these subgroups just they're gonna do some groundwork, bring things to the full committee. Full committees decides whether it goes to the council.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, with preserving natural resources, I said, well, we've pretty much zeroed in primarily on the wildlife habitat now. I mean, and that's ongoing. I don't know if we need to bring anything to council to support that effort. And then I said, does Tony have an issue that we should focus on or get more learned about, that we would bring something to council?
In my experience being on committees in the past, one has to balance us learning as a committee and our action. So I thought this was a great presentation, and I'm glad we did it. But if we use an hour of our meeting time each time having a presentation, we have less time to work, right? So that's kind of one of the purposes of subcommittees, is to do the work. And in my experience with being on committees like this before, subcommittees get created because there's an urgency coming from somewhere, potentially one of us or the city council or the citizens saying, we need this. And then 2 or 3 people get together, work something out, bring it to us, and then we bring it to the city council. So I guess the urgency issue is small-term goals that we might, like, it would be really fabulous to be on this committee and in the first year say, we did this, right? We brought something to the city council and it got achieved. So a small-term goal. But I'm on here for the long term, right? Like when I hear Chad talk, I want the big picture, right? When I hear the cat bus, I want more cat buses, right? So, so I think we have to focus both on short-term and long-term goals, where the urgency is. So yes, is there something you feel urgent about? And maybe we should hear your report more towards the front of the meeting and not the back of the meeting when we only have 5 minutes left. That might help us understand what's urgent from the city. You've made an excellent report to
Yeah,
us.
that is true. I agree with the urgency. That's what I felt like priority means, which I know I meant by urgency, that which one we should. So when we talk about long-term goal and short-term goals, actually, when you think about it, all our short-term goals are going to lead towards our long-term goals.
Not necessarily. I mean, on
Some of the
Andrew's
things when
list
you-
is composting initiative citywide. That's probably long-term. But the short-term is that we actually have composting happening on campus already, and we just need to tap into it, right?
Yeah, that's another initiative we have to
So I
take.
think that's true of all of these goals, that there's all the things we've said. So national wildlife, let's get more people, but the longer one is let's get more than 100 so we can be the city, whatever that, and then let's get more than,
Well, and that's a very manageable
Right.
goal. If we had a subcommittee to pursue getting certification for the city by getting
Yeah.
individuals to certify their own yards,
Yeah.
to me, that's a good short-term goal.
Yeah.
It's in support of a presentation we've heard, it's,
Okay.
And it's
very
pretty
measurable.
doable. We
Yeah,
go
which
to
is
some
nice.
neighborhood associations, we talk to all our neighbors, right? We could really pull that off.
Okay, so right away, see, here we have a subcommittee formed for this one.
Well, I mean, I've already
Yeah.
been working on that, so I don't mind being in that
Being the
subcommittee.
champion for this.
Sure.
All
Yeah.
right. Should we form this commission and who else would like to serve on your,
Well,
Robert said he would.
three of you? So
Okay.
what's the name of the committee or?
Well, we'll just call it NWF Habitat Certification Project or something like that.
All right. So we have one subcommittee.
And one good thing is that this counts towards the points towards the Wildlife Federation. So some of this stuff
There you
that we
go.
gotta get to is actually gonna add points. So yeah, like selecting committee members gets us 10 points towards outreach goals, so.
Since this
So
is
we
an
just got
action
points
item,
just doing that.
I got some in there, yeah.
a second and a vote on that formation of that
You are,
subcommittee.
all right. Okay, everybody votes for the subcommittee?
What's the name of it again?
She's,
NWF Wildlife Certification Committee.
yeah.
NWF Wildlife Certification
Okay.
Committee. Subcommittee, whatever.
Yeah.
so I'll move we form this committee.
Excellent idea.
I'll second that.
Second, all in favor, we
passed?
already said yes.
Anybody not in favor?
Everybody agrees, motion passed? Thank you.
And
So it's gonna be,
Who seconded that?
You
I-
did.
Roberts. Okay.
Robert moved and you seconded.
Bob.
Bob said that.
Do you go by
Bob.
Bob or Robert?
I go by Bob.
Okay.
And then just-
Depends on who I'm with.
We can tell that whether they're friends or enemies by what they call you.
Well, Robert is least used.
And Cindy, you're willing to chair this subgroup?
Sure.
Okay. And I think, is it reasonable to say this is something we hope to maybe accomplish within the next year or two, not a 10-year
Yeah,
plan?
yeah.
Like
No, I think this
a
is
quicker,
very,
shorter term.
I mean, I can see this being
Well,
a
yeah.
6-month deal.
This was a pretty aggressive, but I said at the last meeting, I would ideally Earth Day, so April, I believe it's 12th this year.
Yeah.
We could have it situated. We got I'll present on this, but we got 65 out of 200 residence points, if you will, signed up. And then the other part is the administrative goals. We're about 1/3 of the way there. So I can have the administrative goals done by January 1st of this year. So you will be signing up. Again, one residential place is 1 point, a church or a school is 2, and then I think if it's a park, it's 5 points. So another thing we can always keep in our back pocket is, I don't want to like certify 20 of our parks, all of our parks or green spaces and everything. I'd like to get more residents, but that's just my personal opinion, so that's subjective.
You get more buy-in that way.
Yeah, but I would like to, I was thinking, Cindy looked at a lot of these parks, and the 2 that I would like to get certified soon would be Toddy's Place, and then Gateway, actually, I did a tree inventory of it. It has like 30 different genuses of trees, so just based on its biodiversity, if I'd get those registered maybe before Christmas, And then at the very least, there'll be signs up there, so it's free PR for us. And that would be 10 points right there. So that's what I was
On Berkeley, where the butterfly garden is that?
all those, anything that meets the requirements and can be as small as a garden bed. So yeah, I mean, we could, I want to keep it in my back of my pocket. If we're hitting March and we're still like 50 residents short, then we should be fairly easy to be able to sign up city-owned areas. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a park. It can be a green space. That butterfly area at the Chamber of Commerce would qualify. There's more than enough areas, but I guess my thinking was, let's see if how many residents we can get signed up first.
Okay. So when does said subcommittee meet? I guess we need to.
Can we just meet virtually?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
I can set up Zoom meetings if I have that ability, if,
Okay. Yeah. No, I think a one Zoom meeting, and then we'll figure out an action plan and who wants to do what.
And I don't want to volunteer to be on the committee, but I love public speaking, so if you'd like someone to go to neighborhood associations, and I did just certify my yard this week.
I saw that, yes, thank you.
So I'd be happy to go and talk to people. I mean, I was like, well, I already have all this, right? I didn't have to do anything. So I'd be happy to go and speak at churches or neighborhood associations or clubs.
That was kind of what I was thinking.
If
we
you
should
need-
do
so
is
send me-
identify neighborhood association meetings and
Right.
churches and reach out to them and see if they would be
Okay,
interested.
so we should connect with the HOAs.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Well, the first thing to do is if you live in a neighborhood with an association, you talk to your own, all of you.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I'm just saying, if you need somebody to go and you two don't want to do it, let me know and I'll go. You have my email address. I'll go happily. And Chris would probably go too, but he's probably got enough going on.
And probably not as good as a public speaker, but yeah.
I just love talking about things. So. My hobby.
All right, let's move on, and we have to give enough time to Tony to do it, so we can work
Yeah,
on things.
although we have only come up with one subcommittee.
One committee, so we
Is
have
there
to go move
somebody else passionate about having a subcommittee about something, or is there urgency on something?
Well, here's something that I was going to talk about in the staff report, but I did meet with some energy efficiency contractors. We met here at City Hall with the Public Works Building Supervisor, and he had some very good, interesting things to say. We toured some of the buildings. They're doing an audit. They're going to bring a recommendation for some of these buildings to our committee, or to you guys' committee. And if you are on board with some of their recommendations, then that could be a presentation to City Council to go along with what they have to
who's
say.
doing the audit?
It is a company called GRP Wegman.
It's on your report here.
And what do they actually,
City Hall was one of the first ones we toured, and City Hall needs to be upfitted with LEDs. That includes fixtures and everything.
It's in Green Crescent.
That would be about a $30,000 price tag. This is something that had been recommended by the building supervisor, but hasn't happened.
And by the Green Ribbon Committee back in 2009 also.
Right.
I'm willing to chair such a subcommittee, and again, it's a framing question.
It is.
So it costs $30,000, but it saves $100,000 long-term, or they can tell us how
They will
much
be able
it's
to
up.
tell us. And that was just one
Right.
aspect,
Is
but
there
yes.
anybody else interested in energy efficiency?
energy efficiency committee, you wanted to
I
share
can
that?
chair it, but is anybody else interested? A committee isn't a person.
And I think it can cross. We can have multiple
can, yeah,
people on different committees.
Other committee, anyone?
It's okay if you're not, I'm just
Yeah,
asking.
I mean, I was just giving other people, I mean, I'm happy to help with that too, but I was trying to give other people a chance to.
Right.
And some of this is, like you said, it's a urgency priority. If it's could happen relatively quickly, then that could be a situation.
success.
Yes, and it could be a situation where you could pull your resources towards that one goal for the time being. move forward on it and then move to the next one.
And potentially, this company could give us the 3 steps, right? The short term is this, the midterm this, the long term this.
Absolutely.
Each of which save this much money of taxpayer dollars, yeah.
Yeah, there's, Cat Bus is a solar building, but there's a component that went bad. So, and I don't know the term, sorry, but it's just a matter of replacing that component to bring that thing back online. And then looking at the central Clemson rec, the only solar that was there initially was to heat the pool. The problem is it brought the salt water to the roof. The roof was made out of metal. So if you get a leak, what happens? It rusts the roof, and that's what happened. But there are panels there. Panels don't necessarily go bad. So that building could be upfitted to use those panels for other.
It's not being used now.
It's not being used now. The other thing we looked at was the wastewater plant. And there is a lot of things going on there. That is a big drain on power. So having solar there that could help run some of that equipment would be very beneficial. But they looked at things like sealing the air ducts in this building. The air ducts are apparently very leaky and faulty, and you can increase your efficiency instead of changing out the units. So just little simple things like that could go a long way.
Well, why don't you start with giving me, when you get the recommendations, you and I will talk, and then
Okay.
we'll decide if we can meet sometime before the next meeting to have a recommendation, or if it needs to be February.
Okay. And whenever they prepare this, I ask them to come present this to the committee. So they'll actually come here and talk with you guys.
So you are taking the responsibility of, to promote energy efficiency.
Yeah, and I'm also recommending, although I'm not making a motion, that we don't have a speaker every meeting, because I think we'll get more work done. I was on a committee that we would have a speaker every other meeting. Because, I mean, we're all interested in the speakers, and we ask a lot of questions, that's fabulous, but to get this kind of work done, you need more than 5 minutes, right?
A lot of that, though, is building our base for what we
Yeah.
do need to do.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
knowing about this and
Yeah,
knowing about the bus.
We're in a
and all
learning
that.
phase.
We are in the, you're right, Sunny, that we are in the learning phase, at least, I am in the learning phase.
I am, definitely.
I am in the
I've
learning
set
phase.
those speakers up, so I'll follow you guys if you want a speaker every other, or every 2, or every time, you just let me know.
Because some of the things we do need, to actually educate ourselves. And
I think it's fabulous.
So it's fabulous, so that's right. But yeah, as you said, so subcommittees, as I said, that we cannot accomplish everything, even if you do not have a speaker. I don't think subcommittees will probably have to work on their own.
Well, so we have only one subcommittee so far that I'm
you
volunteering
are
for
volunteering
energy
for the second one.
efficiency,
So
and
I'll move we form an energy efficiency subcommittee.
Okay, I'm gonna do unofficially, I want to do it, but I don't want to take too much on myself, frankly
I
speaking.
understand that, you're the
Yeah,
chair.
but however, I do have interest in this, so can we just, not officially, I will be not officially, but I would love to be part of it and see what else we can do. But
The subcommittees have to bring things to this committee.
yeah,
There won't
this
be any
committee,
action.
exactly,
There won't
that's
be any-
right. So there won't be any action, so I'm involved anyway, for that matter.
Motion.
But definitely, so I'm going to go ahead and move with the, make the motion that Ines is going to chair this energy efficiency committee. And
Well, Bob made a motion.
you made the
already.
motion, okay.
Yeah, you made a motion that we
Form the
form the
committee.
Form the
committee.
committee.
So you can
and
second.
I second it, and I want you also wanted to be in that committee.
If nobody else will help, I will do it.
It's not a subcommittee if I'm the only one on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we do need to have
Okay.
2 people.
Okay.
All in favor?
Yes. All in favor? Yes.
I have a question about the preserving natural resources. When we teased a little part out about the wildlife habitat, but I know Andrew and I were interested in tree ordinances and that sort of stuff. Could we create another one from that, under that same heading? We're gonna divide it up to pieces so we can get
As many
things done, right?
subcommittees as we want,
Yeah.
no problem.
Okay, what would you call that one?
tree preservation and, how else did you call it?
This one? Or this
The
one?
tree protection,
Tree
that's
protection
it.
and- yeah, that's the one.
Tree protection
Yeah.
ordinances. We've
Strengthen
got-
tree
I know we've got
protection
the city
ordinance.
covered very well, but, I mean, we've got
Yeah.
city property covered, but we don't have private property covered. And I'd
Yeah,
like to have
that's
some
right.
options for private property.
I talked about it. I did not work out. Yeah, so we need to promote that, definitely. So, we want to have subcommittee on that.
Tree protection
Tree
committee?
Tree
Preservation
protection,
and
yes.
what's the other one?
It's called protection and ordinance, canopy coverage
Yeah,
protection.
protection
All-
ordinances. Some of these things, if we do them, they don't go straight to council. That would have to go through the planning commission to create some sort of ordinance about trees
Well,
and whatever.
at this point, we just gotta name our committee.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying,
All right.
that was just adding to what
He
we
used the
said
word
about.
canopy protection. Is that?
Okay, let's move on and let's try to do the,
Wait. We need to vote
Tree
to approve the
preservation.
members that,
Tree preservation and canopy protection.
Committee, subcommittee.
oh, so this is,
And Elaine is gonna chair that,
Yeah,
right?
I will. And I know Andrew will.
And Andrew, we are putting him on it because he
Andrew's gone.
didn't
Put him
come today. That's right. It's always a danger.
so let me make it clear. I
been working on a
want to hear about it, Nancy.
Uh-huh.
What it- So this is under the preserving our natural resources. This goal
yeah.
is under, so this is
So there are
subcommittee.
two of them
No,
under there.
no. I mean,
It will be just,
we have a wildlife certification subcommittee, and we have
Oh, yeah, that-
energy efficiency, and this would
Yeah,
be
this
tree
one is third one.
preservation and
all right.
canopy.
Protection subcommittee with
protection,
Elaine and Andrew on it. And, you know, Rita, as the chair, you're kind of on every committee automatic. That's it. You don't have to attend every meeting, but you end up being sort of ex officio on every committee. So you don't have to volunteer.
Okay, I'd make a motion that we, that
Don't
we,
make me, I was feeling guilty that, am I?
No, you kind of are.
That's okay, all right, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we form a tree preservation and canopy protection subcommittee
Second.
chaired by Elaine with Andrew on the committee.
Second.
Everybody agree?
Agreed.
We did something.
Yes, that was very important, it has been going on for.
And then Elaine,
Several
maybe figure out what
meetings
the priorities and second and third priorities are.
But
And
I
sort
don't
of
think
figure out
we'll
what's
be
the
able
top
to.
first thing, small goal,
If
medium
we
goal,
can
long
do
goal.
3 this time, it's more better,
Bring that
Yeah, no, that's more, well, I mean, we're only
But what I'm
7
saying is
people.
if we have 3 subcommittees, bring
Yeah,
them.
no,
I
I
think
think
getting
that's
3 off the ground is
3
great.
of the ground
Yeah,
is good.
I think that's as much as we can do right now.
So we agreed that 3, today we formed our subcommittees and that's good enough for today at least. We started something and
That's a good start.
that's a good start. Yes, I'm happy about it. All right, that's great. Thank you so much for all of you on putting your brainstorming and putting your effort into heading these committees. Let's go to the next item is discussion items. Thank you, Nancy, for doing the article. Let's go and talk about it. I mean, I read it. Anything you would like to add, subtract, whatever she has written?
I could just say one thing about it. I think it's really important for us within this sustainability corner, or whatever we have it, that we have a call out for an action people can take in support of sustainability. So that's the reason I had done the call out on the National Wildlife Preservation certification but to actually have that as like a little box or a sub-ed or however she would do it.
It's highlighted.
Yeah.
Should we add anything what we did today?
No.
Nothing? Okay. All right.
It's not typical in the community connection to have reports of what advisory
Not the
committees
report,
do.
that anything which, not as a report, but as just information that we will be working on. I mean, you already have added that what we are planning to do. But, all right, well, as we progress any further, we can definitely, in our further article, future articles, we can add some of the things.
What did you say? I mean, I lost track of
No,
where we were
well,
at.
So
I
the
was saying
news
that
is, we have a sustainability committee, that's new.
Yeah, that's, Yeah,
And
that's
then the
it.
call out is get your yard certified, right?
Yeah.
It's
That's the call
easy,
out.
here's how you do it.
Yeah.
And those are the only things we're saying this time. We're not saying, these are all the things we're working on. Because then we'd get down in the weeds. I'm not even sure we need to say, these are all the people on the committee, but I kind of like that, because if people know me or know you or know whoever, they know, oh, I can talk to Elaine, and who doesn't know
It
Elaine?
puts a face, it puts a face on it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
So I wondered, should we list our emails in that thing so they know how to contact us? Or we just list the officers?
I think we list a
contact
I think we
information?
list a contact phone number, whether that's a city number or Rita's number or.
I mean,
Yes,
I'm
that's a
okay,
question.
I'm with my phone number, if you want to put my phone number there, and email actually. Well,
I mean, I was gonna say, I don't mind people emailing me since I'm,
Yeah,
doing that, but I don't really want people calling me.
I'm not gonna answer my phone if I don't know the number.
Exactly. I'd much, well, and it puts a spacer there
Yeah.
if it's an email, but
yeah,
How about we put Rita's email, and she knows us, and we don't put everybody else.
yeah, let me,
Makes
yeah, just
it
put
too
my
late.
email, let's not put the phone number either.
Yeah.
Let's put email address, and
That's
I can
yours.
direct people that who is the
yeah.
person to.
And I'm
connect.
happy to help people certify their yards if they have any
Yeah, if
questions,
they have
because I
any-
did it, and,
Yeah, so then I can direct that person towards
yeah.
the
It's
subcommittee.
relatively painless.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I said, my phone number is all over, so, but truly speaking, yeah, with all my students and everybody.
So is that the way it's written already done and submitted, or do we still have to do something? We have 3 versions. We have Bob's version, my version, and your version.
She did a combination version.
I mean, mine has both things in it.
Right.
And it-
And I didn't think we
I
needed a
think we
whole
just
lot
need
more
to review
details.
that one and go
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to save some of the things for our next article. I mean, we have to be more visible, so we have to,
I probably just haven't seen that yet.
3-4 months, we still have to put something in there, so should
The
have.
first version I sent out had the article, and then the call out at the bottom was about certification. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
and I could go in and add more details in that.
We don't have pictures or anything. We don't have we don't need that.
No pictures.
No.
I mean, we could do a picture of,
Yeah, Chris has one
I was
picture.
thinking about all those wildlife
Yeah.
pictures.
Wildlife pictures, yeah.
send it out to everybody when we have it. And
Yeah,
You can
the
bless
full,
it or-
full article, yeah.
Yeah.
How much, also depends how much space they have given you.
It's 500 words, I think.
500 words, and for any space or pictures.
Yeah. And I mean, I was at like 325 or something like that, so.
Okay.
So if you want to do the owl's picture to start with, because we do have some good pictures of that.
Yeah, I think.
And put in the article the link to the Clemson Owls
Clemson Owls, yeah, that's-
Facebook page, because there's a lot of information about where those owls are located all through our community, and pictures of a lot of them, and stories about how they were captured, and transponders put on them and tracked and all of that stuff.
I think that's a good idea. I think, kind of like what you said, you don't need to describe the background of the owls, because they can do that, I think, the Facebook page.
Right.
So just having a descriptor and having that picture, everyone I've showed that picture to has gotten a lot of good reactions, so I think that owl picture that's pretty, impactful. So I'd like to use that, but yeah, Nancy, if you and me wanna tag team it, and we can send out like a final, draft, maybe like next Friday or something.
Oh, yeah.
All right, thank you, Nancy, again, for putting this thing together, and we should be able to see it in our next community connection. All of us, we receive it. Everybody? Yeah. All right. Do you have an online version of this thing too? Community connection?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the Facebook.
I don't subscribe to.
Yeah, there it is.
There's an
It's on
online,
the website.
online, yeah, city website. Okay. All right. So we should see it, and when it's going to come out? In January? Okay, all right. Tony, so next, are you ready to move to next item?
Yes, just real quickly, we're basically out of time. I just wanted to shout out to the kids who came out to Arbor Day. That was amazing turnout. Some of them had never had a shovel in their hands, so that was really cool. Everybody had a really good time. It got very cold, and they stuck around. We planted 15 trees. It was amazing. Some of them along the Green Crescent Trail, so that was great. Did want to mention the Hort 3090 class. The students were just fantastic. They came out, did a tour of CAM and the Art Center and the Child Development Center, and came up with some great sustainable designs for the landscaping around the building, and was just really impressed going over and watching their presentations. Just seeing those minds at work and their creativity and their thoughtfulness about sustainability was really, really impressive. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention was what we've already talked about with the energy efficient folks that came. I'll pass it off to Chris.
Guys, I'll keep this real brief too, because I mentioned most of it, but just an update. So right now, we haven't had a lot of people sign up. Eunice, you're the only one that signed up since we've last met, so that's just one person. So we're at 65 out of 200. And then administrative goals, I've gotten 45 more points. We need 150, so we're up to 50 out of 150. I think I can still keep my commitment by getting all those administrative goals done by the beginning of the year. A lot of the ones I have left are easy ones. Like I said, we just got 10 points tonight. I just got to submit it. And then lastly, what I've been able to do is, I got to double check, but one of these articles, or not this article, I don't even have it with me, but that wildlife, this one, I need to double check, but it should have went out with the Chamber of Commerce last week. I think they had something about a golf outing, so it should have went out with them. I'll have to double check. And then I do have an email into the Clemson Central Library about maybe having like a post or something up there. So I've reached out to them Friday. I haven't heard back yet, so I'm hoping I can hear back from them. The only thing I did hear is some of those libraries have like a native seed box. The Central Clemson one does not have one. That's the one at Liberty. But again, it would still be, if they let us put up flyers or anything, kiosk, hopefully that's still what I'm working on. So.
Well, they have the bees.
They have the bees?
They have bees at the Central Clemson.
Oh, do they? Okay, so yeah, maybe something like that. Like I said, I'm just waiting to hear back from them. But yeah, if we could get in there, I feel like just getting the word out. The only thing I'm concerned about is, again, the residential points. And then lastly, I will try to get two parks certified before Christmas, and maybe that will spur some interest as well. So.
If we get certification for our own yards, do we need to email you with anything, or?
No, it self-populates.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I get it almost the next day.
Okay.
And that's one last thing is, if any of you guys ever want to actually, so we actually have a website we have a homepage. If you ever want the username and password to submit your own stuff, just let me know and I'll email you the username and password. So, but that's all I got. Like I said, I think I can still. The most recent thing is I want to get administrative points squared away by the new year, so that's the next step.
Good work, Chris. Thanks. That's a lot of work.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun though. This is the enjoyable part. I feel like.
I know you did send me some flyer, and I did.
Yeah, so I've been handing out flyers at just some like events like Arbor Day. I handed out some. But it has, other than just handing just people I pass, there hasn't been a lot. I probably handed out 10 flyers since our last meeting, so not a lot.
Okay, do you still have some?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of flyers. Yeah, I can get you guys flyers whenever you
I
want.
would like to have, because then I would like to put it in my neighborhood, in people's mailbox.
I'll take a couple too.
Okay, yeah, I can get some flyers to you guys.
Will you be able to do that? You said that. Yeah, in my neighborhood we have about 48 houses.
Okay. Yeah, I can get you guys flyers. I'll just print them out. It's gonna look like.
Yeah, you emailed me, but I don't have the facility.
Yeah, no, I'll get it. It looks like it's just like this.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Okay.
If you can get 50 of those, then we can put it in people's mailboxes in my neighborhood.
You guys, I have a meeting at 8 o'clock online.
Okay,
so
all
I'm
right.
gonna go.
Well, and so anything for new business? I don't think so. We have
The new businesses, we should adjourn.
exactly.
Motion?
It is.
It is.
Everybody agreed? Thank you, Nis-